What if I told you that throughout history there have been a handful of non-human creatures that have taken up roles that are normally reserved for, well, humans, most notably positions in the role of politics. As ludicrous as it might sound, this is in fact something that actually has and still happens, on regular occurrence, on the same planet that you reside on. Ain't that swell? These politicians have taken up numerous roles throughout history on all corners of the earth, so I thought it might be pretty interesting to look into these anomalies. I'll try and keep the animal puns to a minimum as a means to prevent this video from being awkward, so I'll keep the puns to myself, shall I? So you might be asking, why? Why put an animal in place of a human? Well, as you might expect, there are indeed some minimum requirements to taking up the role in politics, such as being able to read and write. This on its own is one pretty big hurdle for anything that wants to run for mayor, except maybe a chimp or a monkey. But as we've seen from time and time again, even with this obstacle in the way, many different kinds of animals have been capable of running for mayor and even winning office at times. This is done usually for reasons that you are probably already thinking of, because it's funny. But it's also been done usually in protest, such as the case of Kakariko the rhinoceros. Kakariko, a rhinoceros, was a candidate for the 1958 City Council elections in Brazil who was voted with the intention of protesting against political corruption. Unfortunately, despite absolutely dominating everyone else in the vote count, electoral officials did not accept Kakariko's candidacy. Probably because she wouldn't have been able to fit through the front door to then also not be able to legally sign her own name. Today, the term voto Kakariko, or just Kakariko vote, is now a commonly used term to describe protest votes in Brazil. If you ever want to paw Miss Kakariko a visit today, her remains are kept at the Sao Paulo Zoo in Brazil. A relic of bizarre history, if you will. In June 2011, a brown Swiss bovine named April, 2 months too early, was put forward for the position of mayor of East Sound, Washington. It was part of an annual fundraiser for the local preschool center. Prior to this, April had already ran and lost the position 2 times before, so I can only imagine that there was a lot of beef going on in between the candidates, huh? This time, however, April managed to win against 6 opponents for the position, helping to raise almost $5,000 for the school's infant and preschool care initiatives. Sadly, April passed away a little over 2 months after the end of her year-long term. The locals honoured the passing of their mayor with a small ceremony in the field that the mayor used to occupy. They also probably had a barbecue. This next story involves a Great Pyrenees dog named Duke, which for the people of I don't know how to say that, village in Minnesota, was apparently the best leader that they ever had and probably the best leader in the entirety of the United States, based solely on his approval ratings. What's interesting about this king of dogs is that he didn't just serve once, not twice, but 4 times as mayor. Duke first won the race, which was a $1 per vote fundraiser event, when he was 7 years old in 2014. The locals paid him in dog food and celebrated his victory with a 5-hour grooming session. Ooh. Allegedly, the main reason why the townsfolk voted the white shaggy dog into the office was that they thought having a canine mayor would be, and I quote, pretty cool. Duke did such a good job as mayor that he was re-elected in 2015, 2016 and 2017. During his 3rd term, the only vote he didn't get was that from his girlfriend Lassie, which, to be fair, I mean, dogs be dogs, am I right? Sadly, Duke passed away in 2019, a year after he retired from public office. This next story is pretty darn funny. In Legitas, Texas, people have been voting for goat mayors since the 1980s. It all began with Clay Henry, a goat who was put forward for election thanks to a sponsorship by Walter Mischer, a very rich guy who happened to own the town. People very quickly found out that Clay Henry loved to consume beer. How they discovered this? It was probably like the goat walks into a bar and the bartender's like, "Oh my, why hello mayor, how do you do, sir?" "Meh. Yes, right away, sir. Beer. Here you go." Clay Henry I, as he would be known by, unfortunately didn't serve as mayor for long because his son, Clay Henry II, yes, they gave him the same name, headbutted him to death in a duel over a nanny. Clay Henry II took the role as a usurper and inherited the role as mayor from his father, during which time he had a son. Anyone want to guess what his son was called? That's right, Clay Henry III, of course! What else? Clay Henry III didn't have it so easily when it came his turn to run as mayor, as he had to run against Clyde the Canine and a wooden Indian, but he still won anyway, unsurprisingly. Sadly, his term was far from peaceful. A man named Jim Bob Hargrove, which is a very stereotypical, felt deeply offended that the townsfolk were wasting excellent beer on a goat. In a rage, probably fueled by beer, he castrated the goat mayor, cutting off his round things and stuffing them into a refrigerator. And that is just a very, very small minority of stories that I chose to share. We have all manner of animals around the world, ranging from hedgehogs, horses, cats, monkeys, goats, that's my personal favourite, in all corners of the world. It just goes to show that despite human society being all official and stuff, with paperwork and smart, tight suits, some people can decide to go out of their way and do things differently because it's funny and charming and no one is in a position to judge them for it. And I like that mentality a lot. I certainly hope you enjoyed this short tale. I hope you found it interesting. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and leave some comments down below if you personally know any non-human politicians, or any other interesting things you'd like me to cover. Anyways, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.